Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Firstpost America. We're live in the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. And today, the U.S. is on high alert and a dramatic twist in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. We've got the latest on these and other stories coming up, but first, we start with the latest headlines. China's embassy in Fiji denies seeking a military base or a sphere of influence in the Pacific Islands after Fiji's prime minister said the region is struggling to cope with a more powerful Beijing. Thailand appoints its third prime minister this week after a court suspended former leader Shinawatra amid political turmoil, rising tensions, and Cambodia's deepening economic challenges. Japan says it will attempt to extract rare earth minerals from the ocean floor starting January, in what it calls the deepest trial of its kind amid growing geopolitical tensions. 4 pro-Palestinian activists face charges of breaking into a military base in England last month and damaging 2 planes in a protest over Britain's support for Israel. And in France, air traffic controllers launched a 2-day strike to demand better working conditions, disrupting travel for tens of thousands of people just as the summer holiday season gets underway. As fireworks prepare to light up the sky this 4th of July, security officials aren't just looking up. They are looking everywhere to nab potential security threats, especially during a key annual celebration during the U.S. Independence Day. From New York to San Francisco, the warning is clear. Lone wolf attacks could turn the holiday festivities into something much worse. Federal agencies have issued a nationwide alert, and the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and other law enforcement agencies say the greatest threat comes from individuals or small groups motivated by everything from politics to personal vendettas. Authorities say tensions spiked after the U.S. military struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites last month, and a ceasefire with Iran followed, but the ripple effect could still be building. The Department of Homeland Security says the threat environment remains elevated until September. And if Iran's leaders issue a call for retaliation, attacks on U.S. soil could jump from mere chatter to action.
The likelihood of violent extremists in the homeland independently mobilizing to violence in response to the conflict would likely increase if Iranian leadership issued a religious ruling calling for retaliatory violence against targets in the homeland.
Now, the U.S. has seen its national moments of celebrations morph into flashpoints of grief so many times. On New Year's Day just this year, a Texas man influenced by ISIS drove a truck into a crowd in New Orleans, leaving 14 dead, 57 injured in a grim blueprint for anyone looking to make a statement with blood. And then there was the Highland Park shooting of the 4th of July just 3 years ago when 7 people were gunned down at a parade. Intelligence officials say attackers may not just strike from above or through the crowd, but could also attack from underground, on subways, or even waterfronts. And while the U.S. threat perception of U.S. intelligence agencies remained intense, all eyes are now on the skies as well. Federal officials are tracking drones, warning that even non-weaponized flights over large events could pose serious safety risk. Social media is being monitored, and cybersecurity teams are on high alert. In San Francisco, where 200,000 people are expected for a major fireworks display, a federal joint assessment warns the entire celebration could be a broad set of soft targets for a mass casualty attack. And so as the United States gears up to honor its independence, the real celebration may be the prevention that you don't see. And in this moment of heightened alert, safety isn't just a priority, it's a race against time. And staying in the United States, there appears to be a significant shift in Washington's approach to the war in Ukraine. The U.S. has halted some shipments of critical weapons to Kyiv, just as Russia strengthens its military position with thousands of foreign troops joining the fight on its side. The Pentagon says the pause is part of a capability review, a reassessment of America's global military commitments.
This capability review is being conducted to ensure that the U.S. military aid aligns with our defense priorities. The Secretary will continue to make recommendations to the President for his decision on military assistance to Ukraine going forward.
Now, there's no timeline on how long the pause will reportedly last, but reports say it affects several critical systems. These include at least 30 Patriot missiles, over 8,000 artillery shells, more than 250 guided missiles for rocket launchers, and over 140 Hellfire missiles. The move took Kyiv by surprise, especially after President Trump said just last week at the NATO summit that more Patriots could still be sent. Ukraine relies heavily on these systems to intercept ballistic missiles and strike targets deep in occupied territory. With daily strikes from Moscow battering cities, Kyiv is sounding the alarm.
This decision is certainly very unpleasant for us. It's painful and against the background of the terrorist attacks which Russia commits against Ukraine, against peaceful towns, cities, villages, citizens of Ukraine that die almost every day from such terrorist attacks. It's a very unpleasant situation.
Ukraine's foreign ministry has summoned the acting U.S. envoy, calling the pause a mistake that could embolden Moscow.
The Ukrainian side emphasized that any delay or procrastination in supporting Ukraine's defense capabilities will only encourage the aggressor to continue the war and terror rather than seek peace.
And while the Trump administration has said that this is about protecting U.S. readiness, so far it has announced no new military aid to Ukraine since taking office in January. Defense officials reportedly say the review comes amid strained stockpiles after months of supporting both Ukraine and Israel, as well as missile operations in the Red Sea region.
We can't give weapons to everybody all around the world. We have to look out for Americans and defending our homeland and our troops around the world.
Now, since 2022, the U.S. has provided nearly $67 billion in military support to Ukraine, including 3 Patriot systems, 12 NASAMS batteries, and over 3 million artillery rounds. But this week, the flow has slowed and Kyiv is seeking clarity on future deliveries.
Technical level discussions between Ukraine and the U.S. are ongoing to clarify all details related to the delivery of defense aid, especially air defense components. One way or another, we must ensure protection for our people.
But while Western support hits a pause, Russia is gaining new momentum thanks to North Korea. Intelligence reports reveal Pyongyang is preparing to send up to 30,000 troops to support Moscow, tripling its presence from last year. Now, just last week, South Korea also warned that Pyongyang was primed to deploy additional troops and weapons to Russia in July or August. Reports say translated artillery manuals and training footage suggests that North Korean troops will be integrated into Russian units.
Russia's use of elite North Korean troops demonstrates not only a growing reliance on totalitarian regimes but also serious problems with its mobilization reserve. Together with our partners, we are monitoring these threats and will respond accordingly.
This massive deployment from North Korea comes as reports indicate that Russia is in fact preparing for a summer offensive, with 110,000 troops now positioned in the east. In Moscow, officials have also welcomed the U.S. pause on weapons shipments, saying that fewer arms to Kyiv could bring the war to an end much sooner. As Kyiv faces growing pressure on the battlefield and Western support enters a phase of uncertainty, Russia is deepening military ties with its allies. From Washington to Pyongyang, the geopolitical divide over Ukraine's future is hardening, with Kyiv warning every pause in support is a green light for President Putin. And now from the battlefield to the corporate boardroom, where troubles for Tesla are far from over. The automaker has reported a sharp drop in car sales for the second quarter, which is now raising questions about demand, leadership, and the very future of the company. Tesla delivered just over 384,000 vehicles between April and June, a 13.5% drop compared to the same period just last year, marking the second straight quarter that Tesla's vehicles have seen drop in sales. In fact, the drop came despite CEO Elon Musk saying in May that sales had bounced back. However, the numbers tell a very different story, and analysts reportedly warned that unless Tesla can deliver over 1 million vehicles in the next 6 months, it's headed for a second straight year of declining sales. Now, to be clear, this slump did not just start last month. In fact, it's been building for several months. In the first quarter, Tesla's sales also fell despite the company relying heavily on its most popular cars, such as the Model 3 and Model Y. The company did refresh the Model Y to spark interest, but that upgrade forced a production pause, and many customers chose to wait for the newer version. And at the same time, competition has intensified, especially from Chinese electric car makers like BYD, who offer more affordable options. And in markets like Europe, Tesla's sales have dropped 28% in May alone. But it's not just competition and an aging lineup that have hurt Tesla. Elon Musk's political alignments have also played a key role. His public support for far-right leaders in the United States and Europe sparked boycotts, protests, and backlash, pushing away some potential buyers. But that political tightrope has grown more precarious, with Musk now locked in a feud with President Donald Trump. Just this week, the president threatened to end government subsidies that have long supported Tesla's sales. And that includes a $7,500 tax credit for new electric vehicles, a move that, according to estimates by JP Morgan Bank, could cost Tesla over $1 billion annually in profits.
Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid.
Now, internally, Tesla is also under growing pressure. Just recently, the company fired a top executive amid weak sales in Europe. And the move comes as part of a string of high-profile departures in the past year. Tesla's share price has been under pressure as well, adding to the growing challenges facing the company. So as Tesla struggles with slowing demand, executive shakeups, and political uncertainty, all eyes are now on Elon Musk and whether he can steer the company through one of its most challenging periods yet. As criticism mounts over President Trump's plan to deport naturalized citizens, a viral petition is turning the spotlight on the president's own family. Titled Deport Melania, her parents, and Barron, it questions the First Lady's immigration path as well as Barron's birthright status. With nearly 3,000 signatures, the petition highlights concerns over President Donald Trump's order to reinterpret the 14th Amendment. Here's more on the political fallout.
As criticism mounts over President Trump's reported plan to deport naturalized American citizens, an online petition is turning the spotlight inward on the first family itself. The petition, hosted on an online platform, is titled Deport Melania, her parents, and Barron in the first round of deportations. It has racked up nearly 3,000 signatures in just a few days. The petition argues that if Trump's policies target so-called anchor babies and naturalized citizens, there should be no exceptions even within the White House. It singles out Barron Trump as an anchor baby, suggesting his birthright status should be revoked, citing the fact that his maternal grandmother was born abroad. Trump critics were especially vocal during last month's mass anti-deportation protests in Los Angeles, urging the president to start with his own family if he truly intends to pursue such policies.
If Trump wants to start looking so closely to find those born here whose parents were undocumented, maybe he ought to first look at Melania.
These remarks by Congresswoman Maxine Waters at an anti-deportation protest in Los Angeles apparently lit the fuse.
This is Trump and his outrageous attempt to not...
Protesters cheered as Waters questioned whether the First Lady's own immigration journey would stand up to the new rules, calling into question the First Lady's 2006 naturalization and even her parents' documented status. Born in Slovenia, Melania Trump moved to New York in 1996 as a model. She secured an EB-1 Einstein visa in 2001, a green card for individuals with extraordinary abilities. She became a US citizen in 2006, a year after marrying Donald Trump. Her parents became US citizens later on. So 1996 arrival, 2001 green card, and 2006 citizenship. Trump's MAGA loyalists have slammed the petition as a political stunt. Conservatives on social media have accused the petitioners of weaponizing absurdity to score points against the president. But supporters say it's a powerful way to illustrate the potential reach of Donald Trump's executive order signed on his first day in office to reinterpret the 14th Amendment and narrow birthright citizenship. That order is currently tied up in federal court. Legal experts on American conservative television warn that even if the petition were to prevail, enforcing deportations against a first lady and a sitting president's minor child would be unprecedented, raising serious constitutional and logistical challenges. Whether viewed as a clever political provocation or a radical policy blueprint, this petition has thrust one of the administration's most contentious proposals back into the spotlight, igniting a debate not just about future immigrants, but about who in America can truly claim equal protection under the law.
You remember when the bunny saved Joe Biden?
And finally, a New York jury has delivered its verdict in the high-profile federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. The music mogul was found guilty on 2 counts of transporting women for prostitution, and while being acquitted of 3 more serious charges, including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. The 7-week trial featured emotional witness testimony, graphic allegations, and surveillance footage showing Combs assaulting singer Cassie Ventura. Now facing up to 20 years in prison, Combs remains in custody after the judge denied bail. And while this chapter of the criminal case might be ending, multiple civil lawsuits are still in play, which could potentially wipe out the bad boy empire. We've got the latest from New York City.
Sean Diddy Combs dropped to his knees and bowed his head in prayer as the jury delivered a mixed but damning verdict in a packed New York courtroom. Moments later, he stood up, clapped towards the gallery and declared, "I'll see you when I get out." Applause erupted from his family and supporters, but the weight of 2 federal convictions now hangs heavy over the former billionaire.
Today's a great victory. It's a great victory for Sean Combs. It's a great victory for the jury system. You saw that the Southern District of New York prosecutors came at him with all that they had. They're not stopping.
On Wednesday morning, after 13 hours of deliberation across 3 days, a jury of 8 men and 4 women found Combs guilty of 2 counts of transporting individuals for prostitution. He was acquitted of the more serious charges, racketeering conspiracy and 2 counts of sex trafficking involving singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura and another woman known only as Jane. Those 3 acquittals spared Combs from a potential life sentence. But the 2 convictions, each carrying a maximum of 10 years, could still put the 55-year-old behind bars for years.
But one thing stands between all of us and a prison, and that is a jury of 12 citizens. They acquitted him of the sex trafficking, which he was absolutely innocent of. They acquitted him of the racketeering conspiracy that he was absolutely innocent of, and all of the components to it. The kidnapping, he was innocent of that. The arson, he was innocent of that. The obstructing justice, he was innocent of that.
U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian denied Combs' request for bail following the verdict, citing his disregard for the rule of law and a propensity for violence. Combs has been held in a Brooklyn federal facility since his arrest in September 2024.
I feel very happy.
Are you going to appeal the
I don't know. We're just taking one day at a time. We're taking one day at a time. Today was a great day. Today was a great win for us. And that's the takeaway.
Combs faced 5 federal charges. Count 1, racketeering conspiracy, not guilty. Count 2, sex trafficking of Ventura, not guilty. Count 3, transporting Ventura for prostitution, guilty. Count 4, sex trafficking of Jane, not guilty. Count 5, transporting Jane for prostitution, guilty.
My gut feeling was that he was really guilty. and that I thought that he really going to be punished on all numbers and counts, and so I'm a little bit shocked that he's cleared on most of the parts.
Prosecutors painted Combs as the head of a criminal enterprise operating since 2004. And central to the case were chilling testimonies from Ventura and Jane, who described being coerced into drug-fueled orgies or freak-offs involving male escorts. Combs allegedly watched, filmed, and masturbated during these encounters, sometimes threatening financial ruin or blackmail to ensure their compliance. Surveillance footage from 2016 showed Combs assaulting Ventura in a hotel hallway, evidence the prosecution used to reinforce claims of abuse and control. Now, even though Combs did not testify, his lawyers leaned heavily on cross-examinations and submitted evidence portraying the women as consenting participants in a consensual swingers lifestyle. They pointed to affectionate messages, suggested jealousy and drug use played a role, and accused the women of being financially motivated. While the criminal trial is over, the legal battles are far from it. Combs still faces multiple civil lawsuits alleging sexual abuse, allegations he denies. The empire he built from bad boy records now lies in ruins, his reputation scorched by scandal. As he returns to his cell, his world narrowed to steel bars and court calendars, one question remains: will Diddy ever dance his way back to freedom?
That's going to do it for us today. We certainly thank all of you for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.